joining us today for another episode of What's Your Why Wednesday. Today, I am here with the incredible Laurie Simmons. She is the Director of Product Development at First Trust. Laurie, thank you so much for joining us. So, Laurie, I think you're like many of us that we accidentally fell into the mortgage industry, but we stay in the industry because it's tied to our personal and professional why. So at this moment, Laurie, we would love to hear, what is your why?
Oh, thank you so much, Laura, for having me. I'm so excited. I'm just like bursting to let people know
We can't wait.
what my why is. So, this is my kind of like my story, and it's something I've really kept held inside, and I feel like telling people what my story is can help them, which turns into my why. So I started out as a young mother. At the age of 14, I got pregnant with my first child, had my first child, which was a little boy. When I was 15, got pregnant at 16 and had my second child at the age of 17. So my two boys that I was done having children by the age of 17. So I just said, I had to grow up. I had to grow up real fast. So I did get married at 14. Ended up being a very, very physically, emotionally abusive relationship for about 3 or 4 years. And I finally got out of that relationship, or that marriage, actually got a divorce. In turn, he had no part of my life from there on, or my children. So I raised my children pretty much all on my own. So I had to get a job. I waited tables for several years. And I'm like, I need to do something else with benefits. So I got a job making karate uniforms at a sewing machine factory. So I was doing a lot of sewing, made decent money, what I thought was decent money, but I had benefits. So, one step at a time, got the benefits. Then I got an opportunity to go to work at a convenience store and kind of help manage that convenience store, because I had that good personality. I could talk to people, I could help people, and was really good with numbers. So I did that for several years. And then I got an opportunity in 1999 from my neighbor friend that was helping me with my boys and watching them. She worked at a bank in the operations department processing. She was a mortgage processor. She goes, "Hey, we have an opening. Come see if you can get a job here." And I did. And that's where my first mentor came in place. His name was Al King. He was an amazing mentor. He taught me everything I knew in the mortgage industry. I mean, didn't really even know what a HUD-1 was, but he taught me back in the HUD-1 days.
Yeah.
Being in the industry for 23 years, I was a HUD-1. So I was really, really excited I was eager to learn, and just absolutely loved what I did, and moved up and become a closer, a shipper, a funder. So I was all of operations. And then he promoted me to being manager over operations. So I loved what I did. I loved helping my team set goals and grow. And I had an account executive that worked for Chase, and her name was Pam James, another mentor in my career. I think mentors are by far the most important thing in this industry, because they help guide you. Yeah. And she gave me the opportunity to be an account executive for Chase, basically. So I was so excited. I was like, oh, can I do this? Can I do this? And she goes, absolutely, I have faith in you. So that's where I started the turn and doing being very, very successful in the mortgage industry. And by that time, I started in 2007. Both of my boys were grown. She did say, "You'll travel." And I never did want to leave my boys. That was very, very important to me, to be a part of their lives, to be there for everything that they did. And by now they were graduated, moved on to college, and went on to be successful in their careers. And so I started doing that and did that for several years, and got an opportunity to be Director of Product Development, non-QM of all things, for First Trust. So my why is for myself. It's just to grow as a person, to have your mentors, to set your eye on the prize.
Wow, I love that. So a couple of questions. So, I was a young mom too. I was 19 when I became a mom. And I can tell you that I didn't speak about it for most of my career.
Yep.
Until I wrote my own book in 2020. That was the very first time that I announced to the industry that I was a young mom. So I want to ask you first off, was that something that you didn't share with others because you were afraid of the judgment from other people?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I felt like I would be judged, just like you said, be judged by people. I didn't go to college, I had to get I at least got my GED, but I couldn't graduate. I had to hit the ground running. It's like you have mouths to feed, you have things to do. So I'm so thankful for my friends, my mentors that have helped me. But yeah, I didn't, this is like my first big public announcement, that's gonna go viral to everybody.
I will tell you, Laurie, it's important to share because whether it's being a young mom or whether it's being in a bad relationship or whether it's some other struggle or strife that we've gone through, it is important for us to share that with others because no one goes through life without some type of struggle. Now, the struggle might be different, but we all go through it. There's no one that has this perfect, all the way from birth to death, had this perfect line where everything went according to plan. Right. So for everyone out there, it is important for us to share our stories because you never know who might need to hear it. You never know who might need to say, you know what, I can relate to sewing karate outfits, or I can relate to waiting tables, or I can relate to not being willing to do the travel because there's been many a situation like that where you have to make those decisions. Now, I don't know about you, I'll ask you this question, but I know for me, I owe a lot of my success to that struggle. Because if I didn't struggle so much at that time, I probably wouldn't have pushed myself to work as hard or go after certain things as hard, or because you didn't have a choice. You had to put food on the table, or you had to, be able to take care of them. So what are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you feel about that?
I absolutely say that. And that kind of is so true. And it's going to lead into, so I pulled this off my wall in my office, but it's a survivor. And I'm just going to read, this is in my office and I have to look at it at times, but it's survivor, a person who has coped brilliantly with life's challenges. So true. I mean, that is a true survivor, and one who has remained determined to keep moving forward one day, one step at a time. And that's a survivor too. So that is my motto, is it drives me every day to do what I do and to help our loan officers at First Trust learn about non-QM. Let's see what we can do with this. And if I wasn't that survivor that drove me to do that, I wouldn't be helping them be able to have more tools in their toolkit to go get more loans.
That is right. Okay, now the mentoring side. Tell me, what is your recommendation? Two things. One, the recommendation of if you want to be a mentor, right? What you recommend there. And then the flip side of that too. If you are someone looking for a mentor, where do you go? How do you go about that? What are your recommendations? So what are your thoughts on that?
So I feel like a good mentor has to understand what people go through to be able to help them get to the next step. And the person that you're mentoring has to be eager to learn what you're teaching them.
Right.
So it's someone, if you're looking for a mentor, you make sure you want to learn to be able to keep moving forward and to learn more in this industry, or whatever you do. It doesn't have to be the mortgage industry. You can have mentors in any part of your life. But to mentor people, I just feel like mine saw something in me And so that's when they reached out to me, and they knew I was so eager to learn. And I was very, very dedicated to every single day. I can tell you how many days I missed work on one hand because I felt like I owed it to my team. I owed it to my boss. Work ethics is so important. And I feel like those people that mentored me saw the work ethics I had and still have to continue to grow.
I love that. Awesome. And then one final question. So both of us have been in the industry for quite some time.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your advice of someone that's newer to our industry or someone thinking about coming into the mortgage industry. What advice would you like to share with them?
So I would say if you're new in the industry and you really, really want to learn, don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that is what so many people overlook is they become either box checkers or they just do what they're told. Always ask questions. What's the reason you're doing this? You know, I need to know so I can understand to place all those puzzle pieces together to get to the end. And I did that when I first started. I was the one that probably asked so many questions. And raising kids, I mean, my kids always ask questions, and I never hesitated to answer those questions. But that's how they have learned to be, and they're both very successful. So I would say just always ask questions.
That's right. Never be afraid. There's never a silly one. And the only way that you can know is to inquire, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Great advice. Great advice. Thank you, Laurie, so much for sharing your why and your insights and your story. Keep sharing it with others because, like I said, you never know who needs to hear it. So thank you so much. And we wish you all the best always.
Thank you, Laura.